Let's talk to technology expert Will Francis about this. Hello, Will.
Hi, good evening, Kevin. How are you doing?
I'm all right. It's quite a funny story, isn't it, that these two guys, they're not exactly keen on each other. So when you get to be worth the amount of money that these two are, you wonder what must inspire you, what gets you up in the morning, what keeps you going. And we understand that the fuming feud that these two have had for about 15 years kind of fuels them.
Well, absolutely. I mean, it's huge egos are at play here. I think that's, it really comes down to that at its most basic. This is playground boasting on the biggest stage in the world and at the highest level. Like you say, I mean, you know, they're constantly knocking each other off the top of the Forbes rich list. I just checked the real-time list now. Actually, Jeff is back on top, and they're so close that it keeps kind of flipping, and I bet they're watching that list all the time, and it's just kind of, I think some people refer to it as willy waving.
So what about both of them are obsessed with space. Elon Musk's spaceship blew up again this week, didn't it? He said nothing to worry about. Quite a strange thing not to worry about, the complete explosion of your space-bound rocket. But Jeff Bezos says he's always been interested in space, but that seems to be the sort of beating heart of their ongoing feud, the race to get into space better than each other. Isn't it? Musk wants to set up life on Mars, doesn't he, or something?
Yeah, Musk he sees Mars as the future because he sees Mars as the place that the human race will ultimately potentially need to escape to, who knows, but also can grow into. Bezos is looking at more about people living in space stations. But you know what? Again, back to the ego thing. Whoever cracks this, their name will go down in history to the point where their name will be remembered in 1,000 years' time. Whoever cracks this will be the most famous person in the most lasting way. And they'll probably have whole moon bases and Mars bases named after them.
So yeah, Musk's company is called SpaceX, while Bezos owns Blue Origin. So those are their two space companies. What kind of people are they? I read an interview with Elon Musk's sister, funny enough, the other week, when she said, well, you have to remember about Elon. When he was about 6 years old, we knew he was a genius. So he has an extraordinary mind. Bezos obviously has extraordinary vision as well, but they must be very, very driven as well. What kind of people are they?
I mean, what we know about them, there's those stories like when Jeff Bezos was a toddler, he dismantled his crib and put it back together again and fitted an electronic alarm. These are two guys that excelled in computing and maths and were both bullied to different extents at school. Jeff Bezos was bullied quite badly at school, and they were super geeks, and life wasn't easy for them, but they're just clearly very, very determined people. So when they got out of the gates into adulthood and could actually turn what was kind of a weird thing about them into this superpower that helped them build companies very quickly. Think about Elon Musk's journey. He'd sold two companies for significant amounts of money before the dot-com kind of boom and really got going. In the early noughties, he sold PayPal for I think $1.5 billion.
Yeah, I'll tell you what's interesting about these two, Will, is they both spotted things that are kind of obvious. So PayPal just was a system of paying each other. People paying money to each other, in a kind of easy, convenient way. So if I owe you a tenner, I can send it by PayPal quite easily. And Jeff Bezos just basically saw delivery vans delivering stuff to people's doors and said, maybe I could globalize that. Their ideas are not exactly kind of original, but they saw that there was massive global potential for these basically simple ideas.
I mean, there's a good quote from Jeff Bezos, actually, and I'll paraphrase him, but it's something like, when he suggested Prime delivery for everyone getting everything in 2 days, people were amazed, and he's brought in a lot of things that were amazing at the time. But as he says now, people just find them boring and they yawn when you mention those things. And to him, a yawn is the greatest compliment you can pay him because it means he's made something that was once extraordinary totally mundane and normal. And both those people have done that. Electric cars would not be where they are if it wasn't for Tesla. E-commerce would not be where it is if it wasn't for Amazon.
What did you make of Jeff Bezos's stepping down from the chief executive position at Amazon this week, wasn't it? And assuming the chairman's role, but saying he wants to concentrate on lots and lots of his other interests, of course, his charity work. But some people say he really wants to concentrate on beating Elon Musk in their long-running feud.
Yeah, I mean, it's like he's completed that game. He's 57. He's had an astronomical year because of the pandemic. I think they've grown something about 44% year on year in terms of revenue. What more can he achieve there? So I can understand that, at his age and at a stage in his career, he's got his eye on those bigger things like the space race. And, and the guy he's putting in charge in the CEO role is someone who's run the bit of Amazon that not a lot of people know about, but it's the bit of Amazon that provides essentially internet hosting, but it's a huge part of their business and it brings in a huge amount of their revenue.
Is Elon Musk, he seems like very much an inventor. He's interested in inventions. Is Jeff Bezos a more boring type of person who's less interested in those kind of innovations, or is he secretly after that kind of mantle as well?
I mean, my take on it is Elon Musk is far more of a hands-on inventor type. He actually designs things, at his desk, and he's very much hands-on, and his fingerprints are all over the products at Tesla. Whereas Jeff Bezos is very much more, the executive who, he runs a company of over 1 million employees, and he's very much more the kind of executive type person for sure.
Do you know if they've met very much, these two guys?
I don't actually. I mean, I'd love to be a fly on the wall in that, pub.
Yeah, pubs that we used to be allowed to go to. So what's the future then for Amazon?
Well, I mean, they are going to continue to make e-commerce even more instant, and we don't know how that's going to play out. I'm sure they will deploy some sort of drone delivery and self-driving delivery vans and things like that. Maybe they'll buy some of Tesla's products to make that happen. Who knows? But they're going to keep doing that for sure. They haven't stopped developing how we buy things and pushing that forward.
Well, to wit, I think it's a great idea, these Amazon stores that have cropped up in some places, and I presume will be rolled out on a much bigger global basis, whereby you go into the shops, take what you want from the shelves, and you don't have to stop at the checkout or anything. You just leave, and as soon as you leave the shop, you're billed for them. That could be the future of high street stores, couldn't it?
It could. I mean, I don't know. Is that a bit depressing, the idea that the only shop on your local high street is going to be one with no staff in it?
I'll tell you what, Will, it's better than a shop that's covered in boards, because at the moment they're all closing down. Yeah,
true. It is true. I mean, for Amazon, though, what a lot of people would say, their bricks and mortar strategy is it's more of a branding exercise. It's more of a way of becoming accepted and reaching those last people that aren't quite convinced that Amazon's like a trustworthy mainstream brand. And it's as much a marketing exercise as a genuine kind of retail strategy. I think they're always going to be the people that you go onto your computer or phone, you order it, and a drone flies it in through the window 20 minutes later or something.
I mean, that's the point about Amazon. I mean, it comes in for a lot of stick often because it doesn't exactly pay loads and loads of tax here, and that gets it a bit of a bad name. But as a service, I mean, it is a work of genius, isn't it?
I mean, once you get into buying things on Amazon, however bad and guilty you feel about it, and I think we all had a bit of that over Christmas. We wanted to shop small, we wanted to support local businesses, but when they provide a service that good with like no quibble refunds and returns and all that kind of stuff, it's very, very hard not to use it.
Do you think Bezos got behind all the drivers, the delivery services, particularly in the crisis when we were locked down? Because, of course, as you said earlier, Will, Amazon has expanded, become more valuable, no end, because of the coronavirus crisis, because people are afraid to go to shops or the shops are closed, so they've been using Amazon. Bezos, I would imagine, has made sure that the services remained incredibly efficient. And those drivers, you might not like the Amazon organization, but those delivery drivers were pretty heroic throughout the crisis, weren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they kept us going. You know, I had a baby during the pandemic. I had a baby in the summer. Thank you. And, you know, being able to get those basic things like baby grows and, you know, bottles and the thing, all the stuff you need to buy for a baby, like Amazon was a godsend, you know, and the people that brought that stuff to our door, we were incredibly grateful for that. And you know, that was an amazing service that they provided. So you're right, love them or hate them. In times of need, it's an incredibly useful thing to have in our lives.
It sure is. What about Elon Musk's companies? What's the future for him? I mean, he seems to be obsessing more and more on his space program, but what about Tesla? Is that going to go from strength to strength?
I mean, it looks that way, doesn't it? You know, they're the biggest, most valuable car company in the world now, and he's delivering on the promise, and more, you know, there was a time when it looked a bit shaky a few years ago, but clearly they are driving a high adoption of electric cars, and now there's all these deadlines for us to stop driving petrol and diesel cars. And with Joe Biden in the presidency, he's probably going to you know, make it more attractive for Americans to own electric cars through various tax breaks. So yeah, I think it's going to be a good future for Tesla.
Is this the common the common kind of attribute of these two individuals, Bezos and Musk, that they have this extraordinary vision? You know, that 20, 30 years ago, these two guys spotted these incredible business opportunities and saw the future. So Tesla, as you say, a few years back looked like an absolute basket case. But of course, Musk had spotted that electric cars were the future, and he's reaping the benefits now.
Absolutely, and that's what it takes. You know, just doing something that's a slightly better version of what's already out there has never, you know, birthed an incredible company, an Apple or a Tesla or a Google. It is those people who see 10, 20 years into the future. But of course, for every Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos, there are plenty of people you've never heard of that were just as smart, that went to Princeton and Harvard and Oxford and, you know, absolute geniuses. They just didn't have the right idea. So I think there's a fair dose of luck involved as well, as we said.
But I also think there's a drive. These people are a kind of mixture. It's the sort of Steve Rivers syndrome, where they are not only people of vision, they're not only technologically brilliant, like the kind of people we kind of dismiss as nerds, but they're also very, very ruthless business people, and they have vision. So you need all the attributes, and obviously Bezos and Musk have got this. I mean, Bill Gates was like this. He was a mixture of a nerd eating pizzas, playing with computers, but he also was a very, very ruthless businessman who spotted an opportunity and created the Microsoft phenomenon. So they have to have these two attributes, kind of nerdiness and business acumen.
And I think a stubbornness is part of that. You know, I think if you look at people like Elon Musk and Steve Jobs, these are people that they don't take no for an answer. If they've got a vision, the people working for them don't have the option of saying, not quite sure if we can actually make that work. That's not a viable answer. It's go away and work it out, solve that problem, and come back when you've got a product that does what I said it's going to do, and looks the way that I want it to look, down to every little detail. And they're uncompromising, and I think that's a big part of it as well.
And they're definitely, these two guys are motivated by their rivalry.
Yeah, absolutely. But you would be. I mean, it's like, you know, if you were at the top of the table and constantly being pipped by someone else, it's hard not to become, even for normal people like us, it's hard not to be a bit competitive about that.
I'll tell you one thing about Elon Musk, right, with the Tesla company. He spotted this thing, and I don't know why anyone else didn't think of it. Even I thought of it. Before the Teslas came along, every single electric car, every single hybrid car was hideous. Nobody bothered to make nicely designed electronic or hybrid cars. He did that. That's the secret of Tesla's success, isn't it?
Absolutely. Do you know I don't want to kind of promote Tesla, but the one thing that makes me really want a Tesla is the fact that it's got this mode called ludicrous mode. Are you aware of that?
What's that? No, go on. Sounds like my favourite mode.
Yeah, because it has this onboard computer.
Yeah, I've been in them.
Yeah. Well, if you put it into ludicrous mode, basically you have the highest amount of torque and acceleration available to you. So when you put down the gas pedal, because it's not gas, you're just engaged in an electric motor, it gives you the full force of that motor, and it literally pins you back in your seat like you're on a theme park roller coaster. Now, I've never experienced that myself, but when I see people talking about it, I think, I want the car built by someone who would do that, and I think that's what attracts a lot of people to Tesla. Is it's cool. It's not like those kind of really worthy little electric cars.
Yeah, worthy and staid and workmanlike.
It's a badass car, you know, and there's something very attractive about that. And I think we all kind of can buy into that quite easily. Like, save the planet and have a car with ludicrous mode. Cool, I'm in.
Elon Musk has definitely got the panache, and Jeff Bezos, I think, has got the determination. It's a fascinating feud that those two have, and I think it fuels them as they go forward. But thanks so much for an intriguing look into their extremely rich world there. Thank you very much, Will. Will Francis, technology expert on the feud between Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos, the two richest men in the world. It's very funny, isn't it? It's just like a couple of kids fighting in the playground, and they're both worth about $200 billion. Can you imagine being worth that much money?